Every guest on ZASLOW Show 2.0 is brought to us by our official beer of choice. I know a guy who likes beer. He's going to join us here in a second. Johnny Cuba, European roots of the Caribbean soul. Start your night with a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick yourself up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba at your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie. Remember, you always got to drink responsibly. And don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. I'm going to have myself a nice couple cans of Johnny Cuba watching the NHL All-Star festivities this weekend. Our pal is Red Deer Randy Moller, Florida Panthers TV, Bally Sports Florida, joining us here. Randy, always great to see you here. Very big week for the Panthers. You doing okay? You get a little bit of downtime. I know you guys' schedule has been a little bit rough lately.
Yeah, it has. It's been very busy for the Florida Panthers, especially a lot of road games. I think they really packed in a lot of the schedule before the All-Star break. We're one of the rare teams that finished on Saturday, and with the big win in overtime against the Bruins. There's still games that were on Sunday, Monday, today, and even a couple of games on Wednesday. So we were front loaded. It was a busy schedule. The Panthers ended it on a great note with that home win, comeback win in the dying seconds with Barkov's goal, and then win it in overtime against the Bruins. So, yeah, it's time to kind of exhale a little bit, but it's a busy week, and it's an exciting week because the Panthers and South Florida and Broward County are hosting the NHL All-Star. And, you know, it's kind of, Zaz, it's not the All-Star game. It's All-Star week because there's all kinds of activities that are going on. It started with the beach cleanup on Sunday morning. Yesterday, there was a couple events. Today, they've got down at the Fort Lauderdale Beach Park, they've got a hockey exhibit that's going on. Also from 5:30 to 8, the City of Sunrise have a Panther Hockey Festival with music and food trucks, Stanley C. Panther. You can get your picture taken with the Stanley Cup. That's going on. And then all the way through the weekend, there's all kinds of different stuff. The best way is to go on floridapanthers.com or nhl.com, and you can scroll down and see all the different events that are going on that lead up to the skills competition, the NHL All-Star Skills Competition on Friday evening. And then at 3 o'clock, the All-Star game at FLA Live Arena at 3 o'clock. And that game's going to be on ABC.
Now, I believe, is this the second time? 03 was the only other time. This is the second time that the Panthers and Sunrise have hosted the All-Star game, right?
Yeah, that was back in 2011?
03. No, 03, I think it was.
Or 2003. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the draft. Anyways, yeah, 2003, Ole Jokinen and Danny Heatley were the co-MVPs, and I remember it well. So as they activated the whole FLA Live Arena, the parking lot, with the street hockey festivals. They had Sheryl Crow, who was a live performer in the parking lot that was all free to fans. They had autographs from the players, alumni, and that. Similar things that are going on here, both at FLA Live Arena and all over Fort Lauderdale, down at the beach, everywhere.
So, you know, I was actually just reading up about it this morning because in 03, I was still in college, so I wasn't as in touch with what was going on necessarily down here. And so there was a trade that was made yesterday, which has kind of, you know, thrown a wrench in plans because you got a Western player who was traded to an Eastern team. And so it's a little bit messy right now, I guess, what they're going to do this weekend. And so I was reading this morning about the Panthers were kind of in the middle of a thing like this with Sandis Ozolinsh back in 2003. I didn't have any recollection of that whole story. You must remember what happened then.
Yeah. The Panthers traded for Sandis Ozolinsh, and he actually came on our plane and after the game, and then flew to South Florida right then to participate in the All-Star game. I remember that. And all he had was his clothes and just a small suitcase or whatever, and he was going to be here for the whole 4 or 5 days or whatever. And that, yeah, it happens. Yeah, Bo Horvat,
weird
star and great season with the Vancouver Canucks, but he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Was traded yesterday to the New York Islanders in a big trade with the young prospects and draft pick and that. So
you got to just keep him with the West, right, to avoid any type of like just play for the West this weekend, right? Isn't that what you end up got to do? And
I don't know what the NHL is going to do about
Yeah.
that, but he's a star player. He's one of the league leaders in goals and that. So whether he plays for the East, plays for the West, we'll see what happens.
Their building's going to be packed this weekend, right? I mean, I was looking up prices. I go to a lot of games with my younger son. He loves coming to the Panther games. We've been to probably 6 or 7 games so far this year, which is one of the huge positives of me not doing the Heat games anymore is I get to come to the Panther games whenever I want now, okay? So I really enjoy that part. We've been to like 6 or 7 games, and so I'm checking out prices for the All-Star, even not just the game, but the skills on Friday. That place better be packed considering what the secondary market is selling these tickets at. Like, the building's going to be very filled this weekend, right, Randy?
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons, and just to explain too, this is not a Panther event.
Right.
It's an NHL event. The NHL comes in and they do an unbelievable job, but they take over everything and the tickets and all of that. Now, the season ticket holders had the option earlier on in the season to participate and to purchase tickets and that, but a lot of tickets are saved. Each team gets a lot of tickets, and then plus you've got, as you know, Zaz, you've been around a lot of these events, a lot of the sponsors and partners of the NHL that take take a lot of those tickets. But I will tell you that I have never seen such a response when the NHL announced that the Panthers were going to host All-Star Week down here. Because of what we've all gone through with COVID, and there was a lot of events that were canceled, postponed, and that. When they announced that, all over the league, fans, media, partners, they circled that date and said, I'm coming down there. We have the weather down here. We have the facilities, the beaches, everything. It's the perfect storm, per se, as far as entertaining and that, because the weather's going to be beautiful all this week, and the way that everything has been planned, it's a very, very attractive event if you're a hockey fan. And they're bringing the whole Hockey Hall of Fame, all the trophies. You can get pictures taken with the Stanley Cup, which is, the holy grail of all.
I got a picture in my hallway right there. Me and, for if you got an opportunity out there to go to this event Randy's talking about and take a picture with the Stanley Cup, I got a picture framed in my hallway of me and my 2 sons with the Stanley Cup. I mean, it's one of my favorite pictures, so yeah. If you got an opportunity, you want to do that. Randy, I know the NHL has it's the alumni game. You got Panthers alumni versus NHL alumni going on at the Ice Den tomorrow night. I didn't see your name playing on the Panthers alumni list. What's going on there, Randy? What, you can't get in this game?
Well, it was back in 95, 96, when unfortunately I retired. As I tell people, I got a very terrible disease, and Zaz, you've known me long enough. We've been broadcasting together a long time. It was called old age. And I was a stay-at-home defenseman at that time, and the team told me to stay at home. So I threw my skates into the Intercoastal off the bridge in Boca Raton. And I've only been on skates, I think, once or twice since then.
Really?
So, no, yeah, I don't skate anymore. I love the game. Some guys still want to skate after they retire. I choose not to. I like doing other things, plus the body just won't accept me to do something like that. But I will be involved. I'm going to be working for Bally Sports, and I'll be a sideline reporter. We're doing a whole special inside the Panthers on all the activities that are going on with the All-Star Week here, and with some of the fan events. Of course, the alumni game we're talking about, and then the skills competition, and that we're putting together a whole, and I'm going to be working for Bally's, helping put that together as a sideline reporter, and it's going to be fun. So I'll be a part of it. But we have a lot of alumni that are here and coming into town. Some of the names, so you can go on FloridaPanthers.com, scroll down, you can see that some of the players that are going to be playing. Roberto Luongo is going to be playing as a forward.
Wow, that's fun.
Billy Lindsay, Ray Shepard, some of the names from the past, and then the NHL alumni as well. there's a lot of former players, Zaz,
Yeah.
that have chosen to retire and live, whether it's full-time or part-time here in South Florida. They have property here, houses here, and that. So we're able to put together a really nice event for the fans. That's going to take place at the Panthers Ice Den in Coral Springs. It starts at 8:00, but before that, starting at 5:00, they've got a whole hockey fest and learn to play. They got interactive games. You can get autographs with current and former Panther players and NHL players. Leads up to the game. It's going to be a great evening.
I can't get over the skating part with you. Like, so if you put on skates right now, you'd be a total disaster, is what you're telling me.
Yes. Wow. I'd be a total disaster. I actually, every once in a while, I'll put on, I've got rollerblades that I'll maybe go for a rollerblade, but my knees and hips are so bad now that it's just painful, and I would suffer for days after. I ride my bike. I live on the beach. I ride my bike up and down A1A almost every day to get exercise. I swim and stretch and that. Very passive workouts. My body just and a lot of I'm sure, as you talk to a lot of former players that play even with other sports and football and that, we're pretty beat up. We sacrifice the body, and there's an epidemic going on right now. I know especially in hockey, that players that played in the 70s, 80s, and 90s now that and with the advancement of the medical as well, everybody is getting hip replacements, knee replacements. It's not as evasive as it was years ago. So these players that have been suffering with bad hips and bad back and knees and that, even shoulders, are getting stuff replaced.
What have you had done?
I haven't yet, and knock on wood. And I'm just trying to maintain what I have right now, which is about 60%. But there's a lot that have had. Ed Jovanovski's had 3 hip replacements. He's had to have 2 on one. Yeah, he's had both knees replaced. There's a lot of guys.
A young guy.
Yeah, but that's the rigors, I think, of playing a very physical, sometimes violent sport. And I know in football, even in basketball, baseball, and that, there's a lot of former athletes that played a long time that have had to deal with some medical issues.
You know, we were at the game against Vancouver on Friday night. God, I wish we were at the game Saturday night. We were at the game Friday night against Vancouver, me and my boys. And, my younger son always likes to look up at the jerseys up there, and he's always amazed. Like, we only have Luongo's jersey retired. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a young franchise, only 30 years, but also, the great players they've had haven't necessarily been here for so long. And one of those guys that my son asks about is Pavel Bure. Like, does the franchise have no contact with Pavel Bure? Is he involved at all with the NHL?
Well, a few years ago, they retired his jersey. They had a ceremony in Vancouver, and that he came over for that. I'm actually in contact with Pavel. When I reach out to him, he responds. He's very, very busy over in Europe and in Russia and in Switzerland. He's got a number of business interests, and plus he's got a young family. And his kids are playing hockey right now, and that. So he's not here as much as he used to be. And I totally understand. He's got a young family. He waited a long time, basically after he retired, to start a family. And we all know what the kids take away, the time that they take and that. So he's happy, he's doing well, and that, but no, I don't believe he will be here this weekend. I haven't heard. He never reached out to me. So, but he's doing well. He's doing very well. And his brother Val is very successful out in California, with tennis, his kids, and then he's got a wine business as well. And so he's enjoying his life as well.
And he's married to that Candace Cameron from Full House, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, let's talk a little bit about the team. Was Saturday night the best win of the year? I mean, it's kind of amazing. It's been such a struggle this year. Boston is so amazing, and the Panthers kind of have their number.
Yeah, they've beaten them twice now, both on home ice and that. Yeah, that was a really emotional win. And it was the first time that the Panthers had come back and won a game after trailing, not only after the first
and
period,
they were
but after
so
the
good at that
period.
last year. They were amazing at that last year.
Yeah, and that's really what's been the difference, I think, is the Panthers. They still are some of the league leaders in shots on goal, chances on goal, grade A chances in the slot, cycling chances, chances off the rush. That is the difference from last year to this year. Is last year they just filled the net on a nightly basis, and then all those comebacks, 22, 23 comebacks that they had last year. On Saturday night, that was the first time that they came back. But it was so emotional, because if you were there at the game or you were watching, and unfortunately Pastrnak for the Bruins scored with less than a minute left to give the Bruins another lead, and everybody was like, oh, but the Panthers kept pushing, got that tying goal with just over 2 seconds left, Barkov, and then to score the game-winning goal, Reinhart, with 17 seconds into overtime. The place went crazy. So they end up to the All-Star break on a winning, positive note.
Yeah.
The Panthers now, for the rest of the season, 30 games, 18 at home, 12 on the road. I know they got 12 on the road. Basically, you're going to have to get Zaz to probably 97 or 98 points. 98 points, I think, will get you in. So the Panthers basically got to go 22-8. So there's really, really not a lot of room for error. Is it impossible? No. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. But the good news is, if the Panthers can really get on a roll, and especially on home ice with all these home games, that's really going to start. And the other critical thing is the teams that they're battling for a wild card spot, the Islanders, Washington, Pittsburgh. They've got to win those head-to-head games, the games that they have left against them.
Are the goalies going to be ready? I mean, when are we going to see Spencer Knight and Sergei Bobrovsky again? Are they going to be back after the break?
I think either or could have played maybe those last couple of games on Friday and Saturday, but because of the 8-day break, if they're not totally 100%, why not give them that extra time so they are 100%? No doubt, Zaz, when the Panthers come back and play next Monday at home against Tampa Bay on home ice, that they're going to need Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight both 100% healthy for this stretch run to the end of the regular season.
Is Duclair going to be ready? Are we ready to see him?
We're all words are saying that yes, he will be ready as well. He has practiced with the team. I've watched him. He looks sensational out there. He's got the speed. And
what does he do? Does he slide in on the third line? Like, where do you put him?
I you know what? It's going to be hard to say, and depends on other injuries and that, but he will play. I mean, he's a 30-goal scorer, and he's a threat every time he's on the ice. So they'll welcome him back as long as there's no setbacks with him or with Bobrovsky or Spencer Knight. The Panthers, no excuses. They need to get it going, and get it going real quick, real fast, and dominate these last 30 games of the season.
And let me ask you here about Tkachuk. I love him. He's been fantastic. I think he's exactly from the get-go what this team needed. It's a bit of a shocker that it seems like the Panthers have won the Tkachuk-Huberdeau trade by a landslide, yet are having the struggles that they've had so far this season. That's difficult to swallow. What have you made of Tkachuk so far? Do you love him this year?
Absolutely. He's been everything and even more for what we expected. There's only been a handful of games, and I'm saying a small handful of games where Matthew Tkachuk has been kept off the score sheet. He gets points and points every game, scores the big goals. He's the net front presence. He's like in the NBA, one of those rebounders that's there all the time. He gets the majority of his goals within 3 feet of the crease. That's exactly what the Panthers were looking for. And it's one of the reasons why the Panthers on their power play has been number 1 since January 1st. And he plays a big part of that. So yeah, he's been absolutely the most consistent player that the Panthers have had all season long. And I love his consistency because he brings it every game. And it's not only the scoring. He plays a physical game. He sticks up for his teammates as well. He's a big power forward, brings a lot of assets to what the Panthers are looking for.
You know, we talk, obviously I do a lot of NBA on the show, of course, been talking about it this week too, where the biggest story in the NBA this year, unfortunately, Randy, is the players, this load management bullshit, the resting, the taking the games off. It's a disgrace. And I've made the point. So you got to speak to me here. I've made the point. How come hockey players don't need rest days? How come hockey players don't need load management? They play 82 games. It's more physical than basketball. Randy, what would happen if a hockey player went into the dressing room at the morning skate? He's not in his gear. And somebody says, hey, why don't you have your gear on? And says, I'm resting tonight. What the hell would happen there, Randy?
Well, I've never been, it's hard to say because that's just not in the culture of the NHL, and I've never seen that. Now, there are instances where there has been, I won't say it hasn't been, but there has been, where if a team is playing 3 games in 4 nights and you've got a veteran player like an Eric Stahl or what have you, and you've got other healthy players that are available or whatever, to give him a night off. But that's the team decision, going to the player and say, hey, listen, we got 3 and 4 nights. How about you take that 3rd night off?
Well, and also you can only dress a certain number of players. There have to be healthy scratches most nights, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that. But overall, yeah, you don't see too many players take. Now, what they do is they do maintenance days, but that they take off practice.
Yeah. So what? Games.
Yeah. That's it. But it happens. They'll rest a veteran player, and especially if he's a little nicked up or whatever. And like I said, 3 games in 4 nights or 4 games in 6 nights. It does happen a bit, but you don't see it very often.
I mean, can you imagine the Panthers? They need every single game here. They need 2 points every night. Barkov's not playing tonight. He's got to rest. It's ridiculous.
No, the only way he'd come out is if he was injured and unable to play.
Yeah.
That's
Randy,
why hockey's the greatest game, Zaz.
It's so good. We love coming to the games. Okay. It's so good. The big problem is because the Panthers, and yes, this year's been a struggle, but because they're good and they're interesting and everyone's into the games now. I remember 15, 20 years ago, I want to go to a Panther game on a game day. I got a clubs level seat for $9. That's not the case anymore. All right. Yeah. Everyone wants to go to these games now. You guys get great. Saturday night, I know, was a phenomenal crowd. You had the Bruin fans there, but I was there Friday. Very good crowd on Friday nights. It's the best sport to attend. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? The Panthers really make it fan-friendly. As you know, it's easy to get to the FLA Live Arena, the parking, and to get in and get out. And then all the activities up on the plaza before you get into the game and all the sponsored elements. They've got the Patron tequila spot over there. And you've got all these different things. And then once you get into the building and the atmosphere that's going on, it's really a lot of fun. And it really got a jump start last year when they got off to the phenomenal year. And then with the home record that they had, every night was a party. This year, there's been some games where the Panthers just haven't been able to pull it out, but it's still a fun atmosphere. And it's going to be crazy. Those last, 17, 18 home games will be a lot of fun because they mean something. And it's really important that the Panthers get that fan support. They've supported this team, and I can't say enough about the fans.
Randy, excellent job as always. I love catching up with you, man. Really good work. Look, I've said it a million times, the broadcast, you and Goldie, it's such a good broadcast. You guys keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Zaz, and good luck again with the podcast. It's as popular as any of the local podcasts, and good luck with that, man. You do a great job.
Thanks, Randy.